Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today is Monday, February 1st, 2021. This is episode 16 of the Duron Morning Show. If you've never been, welcome to the Duron Morning Show with your host, me himself, the Duron. So today what I want to do, and I hope you had a beautiful weekend. Today what I want to do, just to jump right into it, because I am running a little late and I apologize. I want to talk about college, and how I came up about this topic is I was working on my house this weekend, and growing up, I never thought that I would say that sentence or have to say that sentence, because I was never taught any home construction, or I never went out of my way to learn any. My grandfather definitely tried to teach me some. So how did I learn how to do all this stuff? Well, on YouTube. I learned how to fix every single thing in my house on YouTube. I can take apart all of my pipes and reconstruct them, whether they be drain pipes, whether they be water intake pipes. I've done tile work. I've done woodwork for my house. I've done anything and everything you could think of, and I've learned it all from YouTube. So if that's the case, and not only that, but when I was doing all this stuff, I was like, I wonder why people still go to school for this and spend thousands of dollars. And I get it, to get a license and to be able to start your own business and things like that. I definitely get it. But if knowledge is so accessible on the internet, for me it was for construction and home improvement. But for others, there are people who learn how to completely code online. So I have another example, and then I'll ask the real question. So one of my old coworkers, this is back in 2017 or 2018, he was from India. He was an exchange student, and he went to college in India for his bachelor's for aerospace engineering or something like that. And then when he came to America, he didn't know what exactly he wanted to do for his master's, but he said, I gotta go to America to get some type of master's. They have better jobs. So when he got here, all his friends and all the people that he had met were doing computer programming, and he was like, well, I've done a little, but I've never done any computer programming. So he took a master class or one of those some class online. He said he took it every Saturday for 4 months or 5 months or something like that, and he learned how to code up until I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but basically to the level of a master's student. Past 4 years of a bachelor student up into a master's student level of computer programming. He got into those classes and was like, yeah, I knew how to code fine. I was like, it took you 4 or 5 months to learn what they were learning in 4 or 5 years? He's like, yeah. I just skipped all the electives and all the repeat classes, and I learned what we actually need to know. So when he told me that, I was like, yo, this is crazy that we still go to school if that's the case. And back then I was like, there's no way he actually learned everything he needed to know. Fast forward with my experience on home improvement and construction, I mean, it's not that hard to believe that he learned everything he needs to know now, and I make tons of mistakes when I'm doing this stuff, but I know how to fix it all. I can fix anything that I broke or put together. I can just fix it. I've put up walls. Of course I get on the thing and forget all the names, but I put up the drywall for my house. I've spackled it myself. I've painted it. I bought the floors to put in. It's called LVP luxury vinyl plank. I've done that. It has a connect system. I've put together simple stuff too, IKEA furniture, and I've had to hang it on the wall, hang my TV on the wall. I've put my bathroom vanity in. I've had to take my tub out and reconstruct the drain pipes. I've had to cut off old copper pipes and replace them with PEX piping. I've had to do so much stuff that I can't even explain it all. And that's required me to buy so many tools that I have now. I've had to go and rent tools. So, and this is just off the willing of like trying, or off the motive of trying. I said, you know what? Like, yeah, I didn't go to school for this, but I'd rather learn how to do it myself. So that was that. So now to the real question after all these examples in my spiel. If that is the case, why are we still spending 4 to 5 years? I was in college for 5 years. 4 to 5 years and tens of thousands of dollars a semester to go to college. When now, because of the pandemic, I'm going to list my reasons, and I'm going to try to talk about them all throughout the entire episode. So now through the pandemic, all classes are online, or if not all online, primarily online. That's one. And so people used to go to college to get the college experience, and now they can't even get that because they're literally staying at home and just going to do online classes. So why are you paying for Duke or LSU or USC or something when you're at home in Nebraska or in New York or wherever, Connecticut, and your college was supposed to be at the Louisiana State University? So that's one. Two, not only are colleges online, but for two, after you get out of your 4 or 5 year degree, most people aren't even using their degree. And that's not a 2020 or 2021 phenomenon. That's been the case for years, 10s, 20s of years. So you go through all the schooling and all this money, and yet you don't even use the degree. So that's two. And three, you don't even need the degree. And that there's kind of like a 3 and a 4. 3, you don't need the degree because businesses like Twitter, Facebook, Tesla, Google, all these big businesses are saying we don't even require you to have a degree anymore. We don't care how you learn the knowledge. You could be self-taught. You could have went to some class like how my coworker did. We don't care how you got the knowledge. We have our own test to determine if you actually know what you're doing. If you could pass those and you can interview well, you can work here. And it's that simple. So 3, you don't even need the degree in that aspect. But 4, and I'm not going to give any names or anything like that. And it's ironic because I said, if I ever have a show like this, I want to pride myself on being like Charlemagne and being 100% honest. But I'm not going to incriminate my person. So I also know a person, for number 4, I know a person that they dropped out and all they did was say they had a degree, and then when their company asked for proof, they said, yo, I promise I actually went and I passed and I graduated, but I don't have the money to like buy my to pay off my bill to get my degree. I actually need this job so that I can pay that, and after that I'll show you guys my degree. And their boss was like, yo, the same thing happened to me. All right, like, I believe you, whatever. You interviewed well. I don't see you as a liar. They dropped out and don't have a degree, but their boss thought that they did or says that they did, and that was that. And it's a good job. So for 3 and 4, you don't even need the degree. If you just say you have the degree, and I'm not telling people to go and do that. Do with that information what you will, but it worked, and I think this person has done it like twice before. But do with that information what you will. But so back to the 4. All classes are all online. You don't even end up using the degree. You getting a job using your degree. And now that everyone is requiring, I guess this will be 5, but it's really part of 2. Now that everyone is requiring a degree is less valuable. They're like, oh, you have a degree, that's cool, so is everyone else. You need a master's, which requires you to go into more debt. When, like I just said, the topic of this conversation, all that knowledge is accessible online. There are people who went to school to become stockbrokers and all these things that like now you can just do it online. The only things that you really, really need school for, in my opinion, and that's its own topic, is to be a lawyer or to be a doctor. Maybe not even a lawyer, and that's no disrespect to lawyers, because they just read the books and read the cases. Yeah, all that information is accessible. You can read those things online. Before my best friend ever took a law class, he was very, very knowledgeable in most laws, and if you ask him, he would say he's glad he went to school, because his teachers gave him different perspectives and things like that. I definitely think that there are reasons to go to school, but I think in the society we live in and the economy that we have, it shouldn't be your only option. Normally people say, oh, I graduated high school, well, of course I'm going to college, when I don't think that should be the case anymore. If your objective was to go to college before to get the college experience, that's out the door now. So why don't you travel or something? If you want to get real experience and real life knowledge, go travel. Go to what do they call it? Go backpacking in different countries in Europe and Asia and Africa. Just go travel and learn different cultures. You'll learn a lot and you'll get a better experience rather than going to college parties. And obviously that depends on your preference for what you want. But let's go attack all these points at once. So one, like I did a little bit of a recap. I kind of veered off, but I'll do one more recap, and I'm not going to expand, and then I'll go on each and every one. So you don't end up using the degree. I don't know which ones were which anymore. Number one was you don't end up using the degree. 2, I think, was because of the pandemic, all the classes are online. 3 was you don't need it, and 4 was you don't need it. And it said that there was a 5, but I think it went in on 1. So 1, you don't end up using it. There are tons and tons and tons of stories people who get their degree don't even end up using it. And no shade, I don't mean like the liberal arts or the media arts people that go to degrees and they say I want to study the Underground Railroad. I don't know, that was just an example. And then they go to a job and they're like, all right, I got a degree in Underground Railroad Studies, where can I work? And they're like, bruh, what are you going to do with that degree? Or when people go for unless you go to somewhere like Juilliard or NYU or something, people go for like dancing and singing and stuff. And I'm not saying that there's a problem with that at all, because they're like Lady Gaga went to NYU. You know what I mean? Like there are people who go to school for the arts and end up doing well, but it's very rare. It's very rare. So, and I think you have to be 1,000% dedicated. If you do that, then you got to go and move to LA or move to New York City or something, and surround yourself with that environment of other entertainers, other media moguls, and things like that. But that's also a rare case. But there are people who get a degree in their real field, like they'll get something for construction or engineers or computer programmers, and they'll go to a computer programming job like a Google, like a Facebook, even a startup, and they don't end up using the degree, nothing that they learned in those classes. And if you can go to, I don't want to change like topics, this is still on the same one, but if you end up going to college, you can come out and make $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year. They're like, oh, you will pay you $15 an hour to do this job. And you're like, yo, I went to college. People that work at Amazon make 16 something. And like I said, that's its own topic and fight, because everyone should make more money. We shouldn't compare it to Amazon. The people at Amazon should make more money. The people that with the degree should make more money, so that we don't have to fight over it. But that's the reality we live in. We can't talk about what ifs or this is what should happen. In our reality right now, you can go to a 4-year degree, go to USC, go to Rutgers or wherever, and then you don't even end up, 1, you might not get a job, but 2, if you do, you might be underpaid. And 3, if you do get a job and you are paid well, very good for you, you might not use anything that you learned in that degree. Because yes, your degree might teach you to think outside the book, or it might teach you teamwork your 4 years of college, but as soon as you get working inside Johnson & Johnson, I only said that because I know that they're stationed at Rutgers. So if you went to Rutgers and then you end up working at Johnson & Johnson, it doesn't matter for medicine, doesn't matter what field, they'll most likely end up teaching you whatever they want you to know, and then you're like, yo, I have not used calculus 2 or differential equations in anything that Johnson & Johnson has had me do. Not once. So I guess I'll ask that question at the end. I'll ask that at the end. So to move on to number 2, about everything being online, everyone used to make fun of DeVry University and I think there's one in Chicago. I don't know what that one's called. Like all these commercials that we used to see, like, do your schooling online. And I told everyone last March when this happened, immediately their stock just went up. Because you guys are trying to transition and do online, like, oh, we've always been an in-person school, we can figure this out. They've been doing online. So if you want to go to a school now, like a Rutgers, like an LSU, I keep using the same examples. If you want to go to a big college, you can't go there like a Texas, you can't go there and party or anything. So if your main objective is to get an education or to get the biggest bang for your buck, why wouldn't you go to a school who's been doing online and knows it? Like, this is what we do. That would be like if you went to that would be like if you went to a keyboard store and you said, yo, can you find me like the best monitor or the best phone? They'd be like, we focus on keyboards. They're like, yeah, but you have to know something about monitors, right? And they're like, I guess a little bit, but we really focus on keyboards. All these colleges focus on being in class, not the technology that it takes to do online, not having the software that it requires. So there's going to be hiccups, and maybe by now people have adjusted. I have to take that into consideration. But if your main goal is to get the best education, and now let's just face it, the best online education, you should go to a school that has always been doing online, and that's what they do. So that's number 2. But to jump into 3 and 4, which are like the same, you don't even end up needing the degree. You don't even end up needing it. You can go out into the work field after doing a 4 or 5 year degree, and then they don't even look for your degree. You apply to a place, they say you graduated, right? You're like, yeah, and they go, okay, and they believe you. And I know some people that are working in different HR opportunities or HR jobs, and that's what they say. They said the only time that they really check is if there's been gaps or if something seems off, then they check. But for the most part, it would take a lot of time to check unless you're a small company, it would take a lot of time to check every single person's background. And there are some softwares that you can just plug a person's name in and it'll say if they graduated or something like that. But a lot of businesses don't want to spend the money on that unless you're a huge corporation. But then that's like a conundrum because, like I just said, huge corporations don't care about your degree anymore. They said, we don't care how you got your knowledge. Just come as you are. So it's like huge corporations can spend the bill on these softwares, but huge corporations don't care anymore about you actually physically having the degree. They care about the knowledge, not how you got it. So you don't even end up needing the degree in that aspect. But like I said, 4 or whatever, forget the numbers, but excuse me, you don't end up needing the degree because knowledge ends up being so accessible. You can learn anything you want online, and I don't mean like, oh, everything you want to do is in a library, like read all the books about it, which that's a good way to do it too, but there's literally master classes. There's all of these opportunities and knowledge that's accessible directly online. So we're spending all of these thousands of dollars. Let's put it like this: 4 years of college comes out to be eight semesters, and let's say it's 10,000 each semester, which is cheap. If it's 10,000 each semester and you don't get any grants or anything like that, that's $80,000. So imagine spending $80,000 on, let's say, a car, and after 6 months of using the car, it breaks down, and there's no mechanics, and there's nothing you could do to fix said car. You'd be like, I wasted $80,000. It's the same thing with college. People spend $80,000 and then they come out of school and they can't use it. They can't do anything with their degree. So what are we going and spending $80,000 for? When if you spent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on master classes or on there's different websites where you can plug and play and get specific classes that you want to learn. If you do that, you'll spend, not only you'll save time, but you'll save tens of thousands of dollars. And this is, like I said, coming again from me. I have a four-year degree. It took me 5 years to get it, but I have a 4-year degree. And a lot of people always ask me if I could go back, would I not go to college? And my answer has always been I would still go. And I think that is still my answer for social reasons. But as far as spending the money and everything, I think I definitely wouldn't have went, because I didn't even go to college knowing what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to accomplish, but I didn't know what that entailed. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, this is BS. And I ended up failing lots of classes. My first like 2 years of college, I probably failed like 5 classes. I failed Calc 1 twice. I failed Physics 1. I failed Calc 2 I passed. I failed Calc 3. Like, all these I failed freshman seminar because I wasn't going to class. So, I mean, and I can say all that and laugh now because I ended up finishing. I got my act together. I ended up finishing with like a 3.1 GPA. I had to retake all those classes. I had to do summer classes for 3 straight summers. So, and that's why it also took me 5 years. Not only those summer classes, but it took me 5 years because I had to take extra classes. And then I ended up getting like a double major. So it just took a long time. But regardless, what I'm saying is, for me, it ended up being worth because of the people I met. I met my like 2 best friends from college, and they are the 2 smartest people I know. So for me, it ends up being worth. Without going to college, I wouldn't have met them. Without meeting them, I wouldn't have without meeting my one specific best friend, I wouldn't have become a realtor. Without becoming a realtor, I wouldn't have bought the house that I'm in right now. Without buying the house, I wouldn't have been